Hey fellow wealth builders, so today we're going to be talking about how we save anywhere between 20 to 40% of our income, and I'm going to be talking about some different ways that we actually do it. So make sure you stick around because I think that any one or even some of these different tips can really benefit you and help you when it comes to saving more money every month. So before getting into the content, if you by chance are new here, my name is Dennis, and on this show, we love talking about personal finance to really help you build your wealth and become more financially free. So make sure you have that subscribe button hit down below and the bell to get notifications when new videos come up. So getting right into this list, the very first thing that we actually do is having a goal for our money. They do say that prior planning prevents poor performance. So understanding where we want our money to go and how we actually do that are ways that we can actually help achieve having more money for ourselves. Now, the way we actually do this is we have multiple savings accounts, and each savings account is actually nicknamed to what our goal is for that money. So for us, we actually have over 7 different savings accounts, and each one is labeled the way we want it to, so we understand why that money is in that account. Now, sometimes people don't want to have multiple savings accounts, and that's totally fine, but just making sure that we have a good understanding of where our goals are. So if you want to go the route of naming different accounts, you can do so by naming it as a car fund, you can do it as a travel fund, new phone or laptop fund. So whatever the name might be, just make sure that you have it planned out so that way you know what that money's in there for, and that will continue to help you save even more with every paycheck. So the next way we save our income is being surrounded by like-minded individuals and being part of communities. Now, the great thing is, in this day and age, it's so easy to find more people like yourself. Sometimes it might seem difficult in the actual world to be surrounded by people that are similar to you, but there are so many people out there in the world that actually make it so much easier to be understanding of one another. Now, of course, there are great places such as YouTube to be able to find a community such as ourselves that are like-minded individuals when it comes to, thinking about money and how we talk about money. But there are other places such as Reddit and even Facebook groups that can help you be part of a community and surrounding yourselves with like-minded individuals. And those people will help you drive yourself forward even more so than you can do on your own. So the next way is to actually pay yourself first. Now, you might have heard of this in many other places, on blogs, and maybe even other videos, but paying yourself first is actually a very powerful thing. Now, the way we like to pay ourselves first is actually having things automated, so that way things get pulled out of our checking account into the savings account without us having to do anything about it. It is done automatically, and it's set based off of when we actually get our paycheck. And that is one great way to actually go about paying yourself, is by setting things up automatically. That's why actually things such as having a 401k withdrawal works so well, is because it does it all for you automatically without you having to worry about it. So it helps us in the process of being able to save. So next up is that dreaded one, and that is having a budget. Now, technically, not everybody really needs a budget if they don't want it, and I understand that some people just don't really get one, but I do believe that budgets are a great way to help you focus in on how much is coming in, how much is going out, and having an overall view of your actual money. And that really tends to help people really be able to save more money. And the way I like to think about it is what gets measured gets results. So if you're measuring your budget every single month and you have those plans like we talked about earlier, you tend to have better results because you're being so intentional with everything that you're doing. And that's something we talk a lot about here on this channel, which is intentional work that we want to do to be able to achieve the goals that we want. And I think that having a budget in place can really be a great factor in your ability to be able to save more of your income. So now, before we continue on, I want to hear from you in the community in the comments down below. Let me know what is it that you do that helps you save more of your income. If it's everything that I talked about today, fantastic. Let me know down below. I actually go through and read every single comment that people leave here on these videos, and I do my best to try to reply to every single person. So definitely talk about it down below. And I do personally believe that if we go through and read some of those comments, you can find some really awesome stuff. And one other thing to keep in mind too when we're going through the rest of this list is that small tweaks can lead to giant peaks. And I think that if we go through and actually change a little bit of our habits, whether it's, in one area or another, all these little tweaks can really change things over time and lead to really great results. So make sure that you're paying attention to the rest of these items on this list and stick around to the very end to number 8, because I think that one's a really cool one that I personally like to do to be able to make sure that we have more money to be able to put aside for savings. So next up on this list is actually making more money. Now I know what you might be thinking, like, duh, Dennis, making more money is an easy way to actually save more money. But that's not always the case. You hear a lot of times about people that get promotions and get raises, and instead of saving more of that money, they just tend to actually increase their lifestyle that much more. So making more money isn't always the most beneficial thing, especially if it's just like a promotion or a pay raise. What can actually be beneficial is actually making side money by working extra jobs. Now, of course, this is going to increase your income, which gives you the ability to save more, which is fantastic. But also, when you are working more, you tend to have less opportunities to spend money. And I think that's a really interesting way to look at it, is that if you are driving for like Lyft or Uber, or working for like online teaching, or doing something where you are keeping yourself busy, you have less time and less opportunities to spend more money. So think about how occupying your time can actually benefit you in both aspects when it comes to making more money and saving more money. So next up on this list is living like a minimalist. So if you are actually paying close attention to how you're spending that money that you want on things that you tend to not actually utilize so much, though, can actually go a very long way. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that I am a full minimalist and that I only get the very bare necessities, but I think that for me personally, I actually find it to be very kind of peace of mind by not having as much stuff around me, and that actually kind of makes it a lot easier, one, to keep the house clean, and two, that also does actually really help when it comes to, being more intentional with what I'm trying to spend my money on. You can kind of think of it as a, waiting 24 to 48 hours before making that kind of purchase decision. That's almost what it's like for me when it comes to being a, quote unquote minimalist, because I'm very patient with making sure that I make the right decisions on the things that I want to buy. So very similar to living a minimalist lifestyle is also, of course, being frugal. Being frugal can be a very effective way to be able to save more money. Now, we've talked about frugality here quite a bit on this channel, and you can check out some videos here at the end of this one. But what I'm going to talk about when it comes to frugality here on this video is being intentional with why you are being frugal. Being frugal can be great to save money, but if you're spending that money all willy-nilly in some other way, you're not really being effective with why you're being frugal. So being frugal with the intent of having that money utilized for something else can go a long way, very similar to what we talked about earlier in this video when it comes to actually having a plan in place for your money. So Daisy wanted to stop by and say hello, and also remind you guys to hit that like button down below, because that really does help out this video to continue to grow and to reach a larger audience so we can continue to grow this awesome community. All right, so here we are at tip number 8. Before we get into it though, thank you so much for actually watching up to this portion of the video. Let me know in the comments down below that you made it this far, and maybe do like a hashtag true fan, which is actually a play on my last name if you kind of follow along on this channel. So leave those in the comments down below. I'll make sure to reply to you first if you have that hashtag in your comment. All right, so tip number 8 is actually selling things that you own to be able to buy other things. And I know this might seem very small, but as we talked about earlier, small tweaks can lead to giant peaks. So if instead of buying something new with the money that you have coming in from an income, you actually can sell things that you own already that maybe you're not using, you've used enough of, you just never touched, it's still in a box on display, but you don't really care for it. If you sell those things to be able to buy other things that you want, you're essentially negating the expense of actually having to spend money for things that you do want. So I have done this before. As I mentioned, I'm somewhat of a minimalist, so I don't do it too often, but I have done it a couple of times where I've sold something in order to buy something else. Now, does it always equal out the same? No, but a lot of times it will be very close in cost. I'll try to find something within that same price range, or of course a little higher value, so that way when I sell it, eBay takes their fees, or if I do it on, offer up, whatever the case may be. That way I can do that exchange and actually still get something that I want without having to dip into my earnings from our income side. So definitely consider that when it comes to finding ways to actually be able to save more of your income. So I hope you got some great value out of this video here today. Go ahead and click on this playlist right over here about frugal living tips, so that way you can find ways to continue to learn and grow with your personal finance. What's that sound? Is that the sound of savings? I like it. True Fans. Pretty funny. Last name is True Finn. True Fans. I like it. Has a nice ring.